Live from the Knicks facility, we have our New York Post Knicks beat writer Steph Bondy to break down what I like to call the rematch. Let's get you guys ready for Knicks Pacers Game 1. Steph, thanks for hopping on with us. Word is Bondy. We're going to start with this one. You've called your sources. You've done your due diligence on both these teams. It's a get-back series for the Knicks, and the Pacers are trying to, I guess you can say, take that step into being an elite NBA team. So word is Bondy. Give us everything we need to know going into Game 1.
Well, I mean, listen, it's a historic series, certainly for the Knicks, who haven't been in this position since 2000. So since Bill Clinton was the president, it's been that long. So, it's kind of an ideal matchup from a historical standpoint as well, because these two teams have so much history. I don't think there's been another franchise that the Knicks have played more often in the playoffs than the Pacers since 1992 when Pat Riley took over and kind of set the tone for those 90 Knicks. And guess who the big rival was in that time? It was the Indiana Pacers. And then they played them last year, lost in 7 games. A lot of that had to do with the Knicks' injuries. And now here they are back again in the conference finals for a chance to go to the NBA finals for the first time. It would be with it for the Knicks since 1999. So, a lot is on the line. Humongous series for the Knicks and their fans. It's going to be electric.
4 wins away from, I guess, making history and being somewhere they ain't been in a very long time, as you said. So let's break this thing down from a basketball standpoint. One thing we know about the Pacers, those dudes are going to control the pace of the game, and they're going to run. They press, and they're going to run for 48 minutes. How do you think Tibbs and the gang is going to try and slow the game down and dictate the pace?
Well, there's a few ways you can do that. And I talked to 3 NBA coaches yesterday. I talked to a scout and I also talked to an executive. And the bottom line is this: the Pacers are, like you said, they're going to try to run them out of the gym. And it's not just about game one. They're going to try to run them in game one because it has an effect in game two, and it'll have an effect by game seven. They kind of just try to wear their opponents down, and we saw that. Cleveland was totally worn out. Milwaukee was totally worn out. The way you can combat it is you crash the offensive boards. You make them think twice about getting out in transition because they got to worry about boxing out Mitchell Robinson. They got to worry about boxing out Josh Hart. That's one way. The other important way is you don't take bad shots. If you're taking good, clean shots, then you're not leaving yourself susceptible to, the other team grabbing a long rebound and running to the other end. The other important way you can do that is limit your turnovers. That's the obvious one. If you're not turning the ball over, you're not allowing them to run out in transition and get those fast break points. So those are 3 ways the Knicks can combat that. Listen, they're going to have to get back on D. They're going to have to make sure that they're not complaining to the referees that much. That's been a big problem. They're going to have to stay off the floor like karl-Anthony Towns, when he drives to the hoop. Stay on your feet. I think that's all important when you're dealing with the Pacers.
Another thing or another luxury that they have is their depth. Knicks don't have that. Not one player on the Pacers roster is averaging more than 34.1 minutes per game. You think that's going to be a big issue for the Knicks game one in the entire series?
Well, I don't know about game one, but certainly that might be a problem as you get later into the series. Listen, and it goes back to the pace thing. The Pacers' game plan is to just hit you in waves and hit you with speed, and the Knicks don't have the kind of depth to combat that. What they do have, though, is they have a team that has incredible health right now. They're all healthy, and they're in great shape. They've put in the minutes during the regular season to feel comfortable that when it does get to crunch time, their bodies are used to it. The Cavaliers' bodies were not used to it, and that was obvious when Donovan Mitchell was hunched over at the free throw line in the big game and just looked totally exhausted. And Kenny Atkinson acknowledged that his team was totally exhausted. The Knicks, they peak in the fourth quarter, and it doesn't matter that OG Anunoby had already played 35 minutes heading into that quarter, 30 minutes heading that quarter. They're used to it. So I think the Knicks having a slight advantage in that. But it would be advantageous for them to at least get one more bench guy going because, towards the end of that Celtics series, it was only a 7-man rotation. If you can get Campaign in the rotation, if you can get Precious Achiuwa some quality minutes, if you can get Landry Shamet maybe some minutes, I think that would be advantageous to the Knicks, especially against this Pacers team that is so deep.
Well, you already forced me to turn in my badge and whistle as the minutes police superintendent. So I was just shaking my head, agreeing with you, everything you said just now. Here's two dudes that delivered against the Celtics. But do you think this is going to be the hardest series for Wingstop, Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think Mikal is going to start off on Tyrese Halliburton, and OG Anunoby is going to start off on OG Anunoby is going to start off on Pascal Siakam, and that's going to be the way they're going to go. So we'll see how that develops. I think Mikal is a good matchup for Tyrese Halliburton. I think that they're both kind of skinny guys. I don't think strength is going to be much of a factor. He's going to have to fight through screens. OG Anunoby used to be teammates with Pascal Siakam. He played him well in the series last year and during the regular season until OG Anunoby got hurt last year when he strained his hamstring. So I think it's a big matchup for those two. They're going to be guarding the two best offensive players on the other team. And, we'll see how it goes. It obviously worked out well against Boston.
All right, now let's get into the main event on the fight card, Tyrese Halliburton versus Jalen Brunson. From a media standpoint, could this be the best head-to-head matchup in the history of this rivalry?
History of this rivalry. I mean, if you're looking at position by position, maybe but you once had Reggie Miller against Patrick Ewing. So, it depends on how you look at it. Look, these two guys aren't going to guard each other. They are one of, if not the worst defenders on their respective teams. Certainly, the Knicks should be thinking about attacking Tyrese Halliburton with pick and rolls, and the Pacers will be attacking Jalen Brunson with pick and rolls. But they are also the engines for their team offensively, and as they go, so does their team. If you look at the beginning of the season when Tyrese Halliburton, he strained his hamstring during the Olympics, and he wasn't able to train all summer, so he came into this season kind of lagging, and he was struggling, and so did the Pacers struggle. But when he plays well, when he's hitting his shots, they're a completely different team. And I think that the Knicks' focus should be to get him going left because he's a lot better going right. So you want to get him going left and to fight through screens and make it life difficult for him. And then on the offensive end, you want to attack Tyrese Halliburton because he's not a good defender. So I think that they're not going to be guarding each other all series, but they are the main attractions, and they had that the fun WWE thing last year. So there's some backstory there as well.
All right, Steph, I know you got to get to the Garden, so we appreciate you hopping on with us, my man. Enjoy the series.
All right, man.